You found your person. Now let the knot help you with everything else. The knot connects you to the wedding inspo, vendors, venues, and planning tools you need to make your day totally you. Having helped plan 25 million weddings, we've got your back when it comes to every little detail like RSVPs, budgets, and more. Because your wedding comes to life with the connections that matter the most. Get started at theknot.com/audio. The Knot. Let's plan your wedding together.
Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast is now on YouTube. Go on YouTube and search Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast and click that subscribe button to never miss an episode. Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts, Wrestling Chris G, and you know what? I guess I might stop that whole gag of, nah, it's too funny. It's not just me this week, everybody. On the other line with me is the one that will not put you to sleep when you're listening to him. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, man, how you doing?
You know, you keep playing with that joke. And one week, I'm just going to not be here.
It's going to be the second recording. I'm going to be recording it all by myself. I'll be like, yeah, Doug had it. He was just like the Wheel of Fortune announcer this week and just had it and just snapped on one of the contestants.
He warned us a couple episodes ago he wasn't doing second takes anymore.
He's like, oh, I had it. I'm done.
I've had it with these people.
So how are you doing this week, Doug?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk about this interesting episode.
It's a fairly interesting episode. I think it's one of the most interesting episodes that we've done, and we're going to get into all the flaws of this episode because goddamn, do they have a lot of flaws? And it just shows that I'm going to say Officer Jenny is in this city is not a great detective.
That might be true and it might be flawed, but it is very singular focus.
Yes.
Like there's not, other than the obligatory, Team Rocket shenanigans, there's not like any tangent. It's like they figure out what's going on and they say, right, this is what we're doing for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Or as they so eloquently put it, a half an hour.
So, yeah, this week's episode, this is episode number 27, labeled Hypno's Naptime, or translated from Japanese, Sleeper and the Pokemon Hypnotism. So I think me and you both agree that the U.S. name this week kind of beats the Japanese name.
Well, yeah, the translation is just clunky.
Yeah. So this episode aired September 30th of 1997, and here in the States, it premiered October 13th, 1998. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna throw this out there. I want to play this game this week because it was kind of out of the box. So
okay.
So normally I kind of forget until we get into the middle of the episode. Oh, I didn't do the Who's That Pokemon. Who do you think the Who's That Pokemon was of this episode, Doug?
Okay, now see, you gave me a little bit of a hint just now because you said it was out of the box.
Okay.
So that makes me think that they pulled some shit. Because going into the episode and watching the episode, because this was one of those episodes where I knew where the break was. Because they didn't do the smoothest job of editing. And, you could tell where the break was.
Yes.
So, in my head, there was a 50-50 chance.
Okay.
Of who it could be. Now, there's a very late entry into the contest. It makes me think that they pulled some shit the way you said that.
Okay.
So I'm going to take a complete punt. And I'm going to say, for whatever reason, no, because he's got a dedicated episode later. Poop on a stick. I'm going to say Drowsy.
Okay. So, I'm gonna honestly say that this is the first time that you actually got this one wrong.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
Was it Hypno?
No.
Oh, they did not.
This week's Who's That Pokemon is Psyduck.
No, he's got an episode later.
And you want to know he has an episode later, but you want to know who's that Pokemon is in that episode?
Fucking Golduck, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Fuck me. I'm done. Goodbye, everybody. Fuck. Really?
Yes.
Fucking hell.
So Psyduck is the Who's That Pokemon in this episode.
Son of a bitch.
And Psyduck has a very, very late entry into this episode, but he's
Fuck
there.
This episode. I don't care anymore.
It shocked me too.
This is horseshit.
Because I completely forgot. Because I'm sitting there thinking that it's Drowsy. Because I'm like, okay, well, I think Hypno gets another episode later on. So I was like, okay, it has to be Drowsy. But when I rewatched this episode so we can do the review, I was like, no, the fuck they didn't put it as Drowsy. I was like, I got to make a note to do the Who's That Pokemon game with Doug this week. So yeah. But peeling the curtain behind, because we started saying that we're going to start saying when we're doing these recordings. This is actually a two-parter. This is the second part of our recording for November 27th, Black Friday. So
right.
we actually just finished doing the review for Pokemon Sensation, and now we're on yet another fun episode. I think this is the funner of the two, because I think we're going to have a lot of jokes and a lot of things to say about this episode come the time that we're actually going to be reviewing it.
Yeah, but I'm still going to take a shot in the dark and say this is going to be the shorter of the two.
Yes. And we
don't know by how much, but I'm going to, that's my guess.
So before I'm editing last week's episode ended up being, let's see, the raw file.
Buck 14.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, I mean, you said it earlier.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it was a 1 hour and 14 minutes, and that's just the raw version before I edited anything into that. So yeah. So as I stated, this aired October 13th, 1998, and we are going to do what happened on this day. And you so eloquently told me ahead of time that you beat me this week. So Doug, you're going first this week.
As it should be.
I'm gonna punch you.
Yeah, you keep saying that.
And I do follow through when we're in person.
Yeah, but then I give it right back and you get mad.
Because you don't expect it, but then I don't expect you to give it back either.
Well, right. So, so on October 13th, 1960.
Oh, you got me by 11 years.
We have the third of 4 televised debates between Richard Nixon and John F. Kennedy.
Ooh, and I know why this is so relevant, but why don't you go out and tell everybody else why it's so relevant?
Well, I know why. I know what you're thinking, and you're actually thinking from 2 debates earlier. You're thinking of the first debate.
Oh, yes. Okay.
When Nixon was coming in injured, wasn't prepared for the cameras, didn't have makeup, was in pain and was sweating, and people that were watching the TV thought that Kennedy won because he had a little bit of makeup on, he was more composed, and people that were listening to the radio version thought that Nixon won because he sounded better. This is the third debate, which is still notable because the opponents were not, in fact, in the same room.
Were they not? Really?
They were actually a couple of thousand miles apart. This was presented in split screen format. Richard Nixon was in a studio in Los Angeles at the ABC studios, and Kennedy was in the ABC studios in New York.
Oh.
I do not know why that they were split screen, but that's what I got.
Well, they should have stuck to that with this whole Trump and Biden thing, because I think we would have had an easier debate.
Yeah, the mute buttons would have worked better if they did it over, but we're not going to get into that.
Yeah.
I can tell you that the debate lasted an hour, and I can tell you that 63.7 million people tuned in across the nation.
Well, that was also back when there was only 5 or 6 channels to watch. So
probably at that point 3.
Oh, yeah, probably.
We probably had ABC, NBC, and CBS, all of which were sponsoring this debate, aka probably airing the son of a bitch.
So they couldn't get away. So everybody
Right.
that had a TV was watching.
So yeah.
So all right, well that's a good bit of information. So,
And for a little bit of just kind of putting a bow on it, so the first debate that everybody thinks of was on the 26th of September. Then the second debate was on the 7th of October. Then the third debate, which we talked about, was on the 13th. And then your fourth and final debate was a week later. So they were just knocking these out.
I mean, we don't even get them like that these days.
No, they're spread out by at least a couple of weeks.
Yes. So, all right. Well, mine is a birthday, as I alluded to last week on last week's episode. But I found it relevant because he just brought out a brand new movie. I would say about a month ago now. He brought out the sequel to his hit movie, Borat. And on this day in 1971, Sacha Baron Cohen was born in London, England. So happy birthday, Sacha Baron Cohen.
So obviously the two Borat movies, Bruno,
Ali G,
I was gonna say his HBO show, Ali G in the House,
which was hilarious if you haven't seen it. I mean, it's kind of dated now, but
right.
It's funny.
So very, very talented individual,
Yes.
I would say.
He's a man of many faces.
Obviously, gets people talking.
He's faced many lawsuits and he has lost 0. I just want to point that out there. He's never lost a lawsuit. He knows his shit and he knows what lines that he can cross and he doesn't.
Well, some would probably argue that he does, but
he just has really good lawyers. What the money he makes from these movies, he's like, I'm going to hire this guy so I can keep my money. So, but yeah, man of many faces. Definitely not a PG and kids appropriate comedian, but yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, the man knows his audience. He knows how to get news headlines. He knows how to work in the climate he's in.
Yes. He made a freaking Borat movie during the pandemic. Like only Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah, I mean that does take dedication.
and balls.
Yeah.
Very, very big balls in some of the things that he did in that movie. So yeah, just throwing that out there. But yeah, though that was mine. And obviously we said where what says some of his filmography. I'm kind of done on my end. So I mean, if you wanna get ready, Doug, I mean we can kind of I mean it's kind of early, but we don't really have too much bullshitting to do. I mean we can kind of jump into the episode this week.
No, I mean that's the benefit of this being the second of a double batch.
Yes. So I mean I believe our shortest episode was 47 minutes. So I don't think we're gonna beat that and have it be shorter than 47 minutes, but we will see how this review goes.
Well, no, and I mean we're not going to try to get there, but
No,
you know, I mean if we don't have any reason to fuck around, we're not going to do it.
yeah. And me and Doug, as we were stating on the last episode, since it's still the same day, we don't have an update on what you're getting new. So that as I stated last
Oh,
week,
yeah, I suppose that's fair to say because people are probably listening to this going, "Well, it's been a week." Well, it has, but it has.
so you're probably gonna hear something. You know what? I think me and you, if we actually sit down and hammer some things out, I think um, within the next two.
Mm,
Do you think that me and you can hammer out what we're gonna do in the coming weeks?
probably not next week.
Okay, not next week, but maybe 2 episodes from now.
Maybe 2 episodes from now.
Okay, so in 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure me and Doug can sit down and go over what we're gonna be doing, what's gonna be extra.
Because don't we have something lined up for next week?
Um,
There's that in a couple weeks, and my timeline's completely fucked.
let me check our calendar. So next week's episode is Pokemon Fashion Flash, and then we have the Punchy Pokemon, and then we have Sparks Fly for Magnemite, and then Dig Those Diglett.
Oh, well, maybe okay, maybe yeah, maybe not next week. Just to okay, yeah, I was thinking for some reason we were closer than we were. Yeah, probably in a couple weeks.
Yeah. So I'll say for the episode called the Punchy Pokemon. It yeah yeah I'll put it out there. I'm sure me and you within the next 2 weeks can kind of hammer out and sit down for a good hour or so and hammer out what we're gonna do. So the Punchy Pokemon episode 29, we will announce at least a very big sneak peek as to what we're gonna be doing. It might not be the full thing, but you'll at least get some sort of idea as to what we're planning.
Well, and I'll tell you why I'm confident in 2 weeks, and not to expose our business too much, but we are hitting the pause button on our schedule in terms of recording next week,
Yes.
which will give us a full week to kind of send some messages back and forth, and then obviously in the midst of getting things set up for a couple weeks from now to record again, we'll have a conversation.
Yeah. And we'll be talking a lot off air. And we normally, even outside of doing the podcast, we tend to, like when you're out on your walks, or if I'm out getting some Dunkin' Donuts or Pokemon going, I tend to give you a nice little phone call. So we'll have way more than enough opportunity to get things done.
Right.
And I'm going to actually no, I'll announce it next week. But we do have a special guest that's going to be making an appearance on our show in the coming weeks. But a few messages need to be sent back and forth to basically confirm. I mean, he's been confirmed, but it's going to be confirmed a second time to make sure that everything is still on the go. But we're having our second special guest, Doug.
Yes, and that's kind of where I was a little confused, and that's why I had to pull up a freaking
Calendar.
wiki link of the freaking show, and I was like, oh, right.
So, and that episode will happen 4 weeks from the time that you're listening to this episode. So, in 4 weeks, we will have our next special guest. It'll be our second special guest. And then, from the looks of it, it looks like I might be locking down another special guest, but that's in the future. So, um, if you want to, if you are, if, and I believe I cleared this with you. So if not, I'll take it out of the episode, Doug. But if you are a Pokemon fan and you have a decent following on social media, whether it be YouTube, Twitch, or any like big like social media platform, and you want to be a guest on our podcast, shoot us an email. The email is every Pokemon episode ever podcast at gmail.com. Yes, it's a very long email, but I couldn't get epeep at gmail. So shoot us an email if you want to be a part of a future episode, and we will fit you into the schedule. Me and Doug have said after the second guest that we're gonna kind of slow down or pump the brakes just a little bit, just to kind of catch up a little bit, to keep our episodes a little bit more relevant. But yeah, that's what we're doing. So do you have anything else to add to that, Doug?
Well, no, I'm just curious who this potential third guest is. 'Cause
I,
that's the first I'm hearing of it.
well, because I just talked to him yesterday.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
good.
So I talked to him on Thanksgiving. So he shot us over. I'm guessing he was probably stuffed from the turkey. So
Ah,
honk honk.
ah,
But yeah, we do have a potential third guest. And an episode has not been locked down yet. We're still in talks, so it's still the early stages. But like I said, if you want to be a part of this podcast in the future, shoot us an email. Hit us up on Reddit. We're very popular in the Pokemon or in the podcast sharing section of the subreddit. So hit us up on there. You can message. I will message you back. I get back within 72 hours. So if I don't message you back right away, don't think I'm ghosting you. I like to do a small background check before I message you back to see if it's worth my time. So yeah. And so do you, Doug. So because I normally send you the messages and we do a small little check and we check out their stuff, and if it's feasible, we'll message you back, and me and you will talk on the back end, and we'll be like, yeah, seems pretty legit.
yeah.
uh,
Because we don't, obviously we don't want to waste our time. We don't want to waste your time.
yes.
We want to make sure that we're all, pardon me, we're all, kind of pushing towards the same goal.
Yes. So, and pretty soon I will be actually making that announcement on the subreddit. And you know what? And I'm gonna throw it out there because I actually just messaged them earlier today. Hopefully, I can get a private message back. But if any of you listen to the Gotta Watch 'Em All podcast, I'm very interested of having them on our show on a future episode. So I would love to collab with them. What about you, Doug?
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. So I reached out to them. They have an email on their website, and they said they answer all emails. So we will see, and we will see if they can lock us in, and maybe we can collab on a future episode. So I'm hoping. So
That would be pretty cool.
it would be really cool. So all right, let's get on into Hypno's nap time. Now that we're done with all of our homework.
So this episode pretty much starts like last week.
Yes. They're in a big city, and the buildings are very, very tall. They're closing in, and they said they're not used to being in such a big city like this, but they were just in a city like this.
Right. Except this time they seem to be lost.
Yes. And not only are they lost, but this is an off city because this city doesn't even make it into the video game. This city is called Hop, Hop, Hop City.
And then we get a nice little gag of, Brock and Misty doing a hop and Pikachu doing a tumble.
Well, it's Ash and Misty because Brock's the one that goes
shit.
hop.
Of course, Brock's reading the map.
And of course, with Brock reading the map, they're lost because Brock's good at a lot of things, but Brock telling where to go and how to read a map is just not his strong suit.
Poor guy is very directionally challenged.
Maybe he should open his eyes.
Oh, okay. I think we've been canceled, folks. It's been a nice run. It's been a hell of a ride.
Come on, it's a funny Pokemon joke. Because he in a future episode he actually does open his eyes.
You can send your thoughts and comments to every Pokemon episode ever podcast at gmail.com, care of Wrestling Chris G, and please leave me off the CC. So yeah, as we're still trying to get our bearings, Ash is confronted by boobs.
Oh my God. This very busty mother is looking for her son, and she sees Ash, and what's the name of this kid? Oh, Arnold. And
I said
they're just minding their own business, and then she's like, Arnold, it's been so long, I finally found you. And she just comes and just smothers Ash with her big tits.
And Ash says, my name is Ash,
and get off of me.
Misty pops up and goes, my name's Misty, and Brock comes up and basically gives her, that old hook when you're trying to get somebody off the stage. He goes, she wasn't talking to you, and she goes, I guess you're right. And then we get
she is literally suffocating him with her boobs.
Hey, there's worse ways to go.
True.
And then we get the title screen.
Hypno's Naptime.
And then we're sitting in essentially what looks like the town's kind of like a shopping center kind of area.
Yeah, it's like the sitting area of a shopping mall.
Right. And she's kind of sitting there kind of explaining kind of what's been going on in the town.
There's a lot of kids that have gone missing.
Kids are just missing, and right off the bat, I'm getting a big whiff of Stephen King. Small town, well, I'm going to say small town despite the skyscrapers, just because I got that. Because you don't run up to somebody in a big city and go, Arnold, thinking that's your kid, because that's a big city. I mean, obviously she was wrong, but you can't do that unless you're somewhat certain that that's who that is.
Yes.
So that's kind of why I said, small town, kids missing, kind of nobody seems to know why, or, we'll find out. Maybe not that interested.
But you want to know what pisses me off? Okay, so, and here's flaw number one. So, I mean, later on in the episode, when we do see the kids, how does she not know what her son looks like? Because because when they drew this character later on in this episode, it looks nothing like Ash.
The poor woman was grief-stricken.
Oh my gosh!
She's missing poor Arnold. She's taking a shot in the dark. Is he wearing a cap? No. But is she desperate? Yes.
But you're a mother. You birthed this child. This child's not a baby. I'm just saying. If for some odd reason, I'm not gonna throw bad vibes out there, but say something happened to my son or my daughter, I'm gonna know what the hell they look like. Jeez.
Well, yeah, but you've also got the advantage of cell phones.
Yeah, true. So, but still, you still know what your kid looks like.
this town has the advantage of posters on a wall.
So so as she's telling this story, she's saying every single day another kid is going missing in this town, and it's only kids and it's not adults. So
9 kids, according to this screenshot.
yes. So, and they go to a shot inside of the Pokemon Center, and there's just posters of these kids one by one. And they're all really, really young kids. So,
Well,
they,
10, I guess, because Officer Jennings about to put up another one.
yeah. And Misty is kind of smitten. She's like, "There's that many kids that's missing in this town?"
That should be a bigger deal.
Yes,
It should be a bigger deal. Um,
because it's one by one.
right. It's not like this. Even if it was a big swoop, it would be a big deal.
So, Doug, why don't you take on this next part of the scene?
So, like he said, we have this shot of the wall of missing children, and we see the officer. Well, is it fair to say the Officer Jenny of this town yet, or is the gag not established itself?
Not yet. I mean, but what Misty makes a really bad joke saying that her face should be up there as a poster.
Oh yeah, because she's like, I'm gonna be a famous movie star. But then Ash gives it right back because he goes, well, maybe in horror movies. Ho, ho, ho.
But even Brock, when she made that joke, gets the little animation on the side of his face, like, not a good time, bad timing, Misty.
Yeah, and when Brock says "read the room," something's gone horribly wrong.
But we have to remember Misty is 10 years old as well.
Right, but well, fine. So yeah, but then Officer Jenny comes up, and she's looking at the posters, and she's got another one in her hand. She goes, "Well, this is horrible." And then Ash comes up and goes, "I'll bet you're related to the Jenny from what the fuck town does he say?"
What's up?
He says, "I bet you're related to the Officer Jenny from."
Oh, from Saladon City, and she said that's my cousin's cousin.
Right, doesn't Brock come up and he's perverted and he's like, "You're the prettiest" or something like that.
You're the prettiest, Officer Jenny, of them all.
And which one of them says they look exactly the same?
Misty.
Yeah, Misty's got no chill. She's still mad about the horror movie crack.
Yeah, and I wanna point this out. So it's at this point that the mother of the missing child, Arnold, she's looking at the poster. She's so sad that her child's still gone and that she still hasn't found him yet. And Ash has a flashback. So
right. And and I hate that this is where my mind went. But this is where my mind went watching the episode, and it's only strengthened sitting here watching it a couple more times. The first shot we see of Ash's mother
is her ass.
Right on her ass. Bang.
Now, Doug, I'm gonna poke a little fun. Like I said, this episode is gonna be fun to kind of poke fun at. What episode is that from?
That's from Beauty and the Beast. So my question is it the same? Like, so that's something we haven't seen. Like, if we didn't watch it, we hadn't seen that.
Yes.
So that's just a completely random ass shot of Mrs. Ketchum, apropos of nothing.
Oh my goodness. It's just I'm sorry. I just loved, because I wanted to bring it up because I was like, the one shot that we get is from the episode that you despise the most out of all of the Pokemon episodes that we've reviewed so far.
You find people have had a chance to listen to my thoughts of that episode.
Yes. So I'm just throwing it out there. They knew what they were doing.
So, to make a long story short, Ash Well, first he decides that he's going to, at some point, he's going to call his mother. But that's put up immediately on the back burner because Ash goes into hero mode very early in this episode.
He's going to find these kids.
He's going to take it upon himself to find the kids, right?
Detective Ash, he calls himself.
Right.
And he said he's on the case.
And so the trio, well, I should say the group, team up with
the quad.
Officer Jenny. Well, okay, well that's still our heroes team up with Officer Jenny, and we're patrolling the streets.
And I'm going to throw it out there, and I'm just having fun with this episode too, but Officer Jenny is a very, very bad detective. Right off the bat.
Yeah. Very bad. I mean, we'll get down to why in a few moments' time.
So, but we get a clear picture. So the mother said that within a week's time frame that all of these kids have gone missing. Officer Jenny then says in this scene that all of these kids have gone missing within a 3-day time span.
Well, 3 days is within a week.
Yes. So they're completely, I don't know. I mean, maybe Arnold was missing on day 1. So it seems like a week. She can't sleep.
Ah, well, I could see that. So they're walking, and then we come across the, pardon me, we come across the Pokémon Center for the town.
Yes.
But
what about when they're walking through the city and Ash keeps using this word?
I hated it.
Improperly. Like he kept saying deduction. That's a great deduction.
Hated it. He said it's a great deduction, Brock. He said it at least twice that I caught, and I might have blocked it out from that otherwise.
Because they're going through the city, and Officer Jenny is going through that these kids have been missing for 3 days, and it's multiple kids each day that keeps going missing, and it's a lot of them now. So as you alluded to, it was the 10th poster. So Brock goes, do any of these kids have anything in common? And Ash just goes, that's a great deduction, Brock, to this case. And I'm like, that's not how you use that word.
Hated it.
So
motherfucker's got a word a day calendar. He's just running it into the ground.
So all right.
So they go into this Pokemon Center
that looks like a damn spaceship.
And it's kind of it must be like a combo kind of daycare center, kind of play area kind of, because there's a bunch of little kids. And Jenny's got the picture of one of the latest kids, possibly the kid she put up. And, she's asking a couple of these kids if they're familiar with this little boy. And one kid says no. And then one kid says,
yes,
I play with him all the time.
And basically wondering where is he? Well, we don't know yet.
And Officer Jenny says, when was the last time you saw him? And the kid kind of hems and haws like little kids do. And then Brock just bowls into the scene. And you better answer these questions truthfully now.
Because if you don't answer these questions truthfully, you'll be in really big trouble. And Officer Jenny you don't want to lie to this pretty lady.
And
Officer Jenny has to kind of reel Brock back, like, okay, calm down, horny man.
Yeah, because she said earlier, she's like, we can team up, but as long as you don't get in the way. And then, she has to kind of she goes, okay, now this is getting in the way.
Because he completely scared these two little boys.
And, so we move on from them for a second, and Ash and Misty have another kid's picture, and they're at the desk, and they're talking to the Nurse Joy in the town. And I caught the hat, the color this time, boy. I was on the lookout for it.
It's
I
pink.
said, it's not gonna get past me again, by God, I tell you.
This Nurse Joy this week has a pink cross on
Pink
her hat.
cross, yeah.
Kind of almost to match her hair and her lips.
Right.
Oh, I'm so glad you didn't say anything because she doesn't have pink lipstick on. I was turning into
Well,
Brock there for a second.
we don't know what lips you were talking about either.
Oh, this is an adult podcast. All the women just turned the podcast
Yeah,
off.
See, well, otherwise they could be sitting there going, "He's right, you know."
We're here about the missing children.
So Officer Jenny, Nurse Joy's kind of given a little bit more information on kind of what's been going on, and it's not just affecting little children, it's also affecting Pokemon.
Yes, but it's affecting Pokemon a different way though. So it's kind of putting Pokemon to sleep.
It's putting Pokemon to sleep, and we go back and we see a Cubone and an Oddish. God damn it! She puts a Magikarp on the table, right? And Magikarp are basically, low energy anyway. And she puts this Magikarp on the table and goes, "This Magikarp is usually so full of energy."
And this Magikarp's like dead.
And what does fucking Ash say? He goes, Ash goes, "This guy looks like he's ready for the deli counter." I was like, holy shit.
Did we not just find out a couple episodes ago that Magikarp is basically hard as a rock? You can't eat it.
Inedible, right. Oh, boy. And then she holds up old Psyduck, who, yeah.
Psyduck makes his first appearance in at this part, and Nurse Joy actually calls this Psyduck odd. She's like, this one, he just holds his head, so I'm not sure what's really wrong with this Psyduck.
So and I want to circle back to this as we get towards the end, because it won't make sense to do it now and then have to come back to. So I'm going to put a pin in Nurse Joy's lackluster diagnosis of old Psyduck here.
Yeah, because she acts like that. This is
just we'll circle back. We'll circle back.
All right,
because we're thinking the same thing, but it's pointless now.
Yes. Okay.
So they're all kind of sitting here, and Ash is putting on his serious thinking face, and he's like, this is strange. And Misty kind of leans forward and goes, "What are you thinking?" And Ash goes, "I got nothing."
But Dexter gives a nice little definition of Psyduck when Ash takes out good old Dexter.
Right, but that's later.
No, it's right now.
No, it isn't either.
Yes, it is. I'm looking right at it.
It is not.
It is too. Go.
No.
Flat. I'm looking right at it. 5 minutes, 47 seconds. He takes out the Pokedex, and he's getting the diagnosis of Psyduck.
Well, right, but it still doesn't come to pass until the very end of the episode.
Yes.
So Ash gets he gets the first paragraph diagnosis, but apparently you can just pause Dexter and put him back in your pocket.
Yes. So he doesn't give the full diagnosis, but right now he says that he uses mysterious psychic attacks.
And then Ash is like, "Well, that's what he says. Well, that's strange. You wouldn't tell it by looking at him."
Yes.
But yeah, we don't get the mega payoff yet.
Not yet, but it's coming. Oh, is it coming?
So, and then, they're standing there, and we got this weird beeping coming from Officer Jenny. And Ash goes, "Is that your radio?" And she goes, "Mm-mm." and she pulls out this big old honking, looks like a metal detector, and fucking Brock, god damn it, goes, that must be a hunky guy detector. She could have punched. She should have punched him.
She should have.
She goes, get out of here.
But no, she actually turns him down. Like, this is the one and only time that a woman actually responds to his wackiness, and she goes, "Don't kid yourself."
Oh, don't kid yourself, which is another shot because he is fucking 15.
Yes.
And Officer Jenny kind of sheds a little bit more light on the situation. Goes, well, ever since these kids have started disappearing and these Pokemon have started kind of randomly falling asleep, I've been tracking, what does she call them? Sleep waves or dream waves or something.
She's been tracking these psychic waves from the device.
And she goes,
oh no, it's a sleep wave. Sorry.
Sleep wave, yeah. And you know, about that time, Pikachu just goes down, well, not like, but just goes, passes out. And Ash is stupid. He goes, hey, Pikachu, wake up. Like, it was that fucking simple.
just all sorts of, well, I mean, he doesn't know what's going on.
Well, I know, but he doesn't, you don't have to think.
Pikachu is just passed out.
Well, you don't have to think every thought out loud, though, either.
True.
But
it's at this time that we get the first introduction of Team Rocket into this episode.
And to Team Rocket have the same technology that Officer Jenny has? What the fuck?
Yeah, they're tracking sleep waves, but they, instead of like a handheld box like she has, they have like what looks like a walking TV. Like, theirs is more bulky.
Right. And Jesse kind of goes, well, we're gonna harness the power of these sleep waves, and we're gonna knock out the boss. And then, we can go on a vacation because we might be horrible, but we work really hard at it.
Coming from this to sleep.
So, and then we go straight from that to Officer Jenny following the sleep waves with the device throughout the city of Hop Hop City. And they come to this very, very, very tall building where the signal is getting stronger. So what do? Of course, they walk inside.
They walk inside and they get on an elevator and they take it all the way the fuck up.
And then once they get to the top, there's a big old fucking mansion on top of this building.
Right. And
who the fuck puts a mansion on top of a building?
Oh, apparently a weird society. And
is this like a quote unquote like cult, or I mean not even that, but like people that have like different kinds of fetishes?
Yeah, I got kind of a big whiff of I don't want to. Well, yeah, cult is fair. I think it's not fair to say pervert club.
I got very creepy vibes from this group, and I don't think these vibes were warranted.
So,
like I wasn't, as Kevin Hart says, I wasn't ready.
So we get out and we see this big expansive area on this rooftop, and we see this big mansion, and they go up to the front steps, and Ash and Brock are kind of leaning at the door, and they're kind of listening in, and there's something going on in there. And a big burly man break in, and we see a big group of people dressed in fancy outfits, and there are two Pokemon sitting on top of a table.
Not creepy at all.
And it's at this point we get the first act break, aka who's that Pokemon?
Who's that Pokemon?
And we come back, and everybody's kind of wondering what everybody's doing there.
And the main person in the party, Ash sees a Hypno. So he takes out his Pokedex and he's like, "What's that Pokemon?" And Dexter kind of gives a very small synopsis of Hypno. That let's see.
Well,
So
fucking Brock has to fill in the gaps because he goes, "Well, isn't a Hypno the evolved form of a Drowsy?" And then fucking the camera literally tilts like 3 inches to the fucking right and goes, "Oh, there's a Drowsy."
yes, and they said that he performs hypnotic attacks using a little device. So we don't even know what the fuck that. It's like a little circle with a needle with a string attached to it, just to swing back and forth to hypnotize.
Well, it's the traditional, you're getting sleepy, very sleepy, follow the watch or the fucking coin on a string or whatever the fuck.
While I rob you clean.
Right. And something is said, and the guy's like, "Well, our Drowsy finally evolved into a Hypno about 3 days ago."
And that's the time that all the people started, or all the kids started going missing.
Right. Everybody kind of gets like a big light bulb moment and say, "Oh, 3 days." And then, they say, "Well, everybody here suffers from
Sleep apnea.
yeah. So instead of using sleeping drugs, we just use Hypno. It's natural." Is it really? I mean, that's another episode.
Well, this is what I want to know. Okay, so this is another big loophole. So these people can't sleep, right?
Right.
So do they leave their own home and they come to this building and they sleep at this building with the Drowsy and the Hypno to get their sleep? So they don't sleep in their own house because they're too rich to. Why the fuck would you want to sleep in your own house? That's creepy already.
Well, you're not wrong, but if you don't want to take pills and there's a spot in town where you can go every night
and go and get a hit.
Wow.
That's exactly what it seems like in this episode.
Well, no, they explicitly said it's not sleeping drugs. You got to listen to the episode.
Oh, I know it's not sleeping drugs, but they're getting a hit of something and it's putting their ass to sleep.
Well, it works. And Ash kind of points out or holds up Pikachu and goes, "Well, I mean, that's all well and good, but I got a fucking sleeping Pikachu that wasn't sleeping when I got here, so something's got to be done."
So it's at this point that they bring the Pikachu over to Hypno because they're gonna try to wake up Pikachu.
Right.
And in the midst of trying to wake up Pikachu, and Misty's holding Pikachu, by the way.
Right.
She ends up getting hypnotized.
She's really dumb.
By the damn Hypno.
Really dumb here.
And
she's really dumb here.
All right. So, all right. I'll let you say it.
I don't have the sound up, right? I'm
Yes.
just kind of watching this going. I mean, keep in mind, at this point, I've watched these episodes a couple hours ago, but it's still relatively fresh. So I'm just kind of watching the episode. And Drowsy or Hypno is seeing another guy sitting in a chair. So they bring Pikachu past Hypno, and then they lay it in front of Drowsy.
Yes.
And then Misty
goes and sits in front of Hypno.
Turns around and goes, "What's Hypno doing?" And gets right in his fucking face, and he starts doing his gimmick,
Hypno.
And she gets hypnotized.
Hypno.
And she thinks she's a goddamn seal, and she runs up the door.
I'm so sorry, but the look on her face, like I'm shocked that Ash didn't roast her even more in this episode than he already did. But she literally looks up and goes, "Seal, seal, seal, seal," and she's clapping her hands every time she says seal. She's like, "Seal, seal, seal, seal," and then she runs. She darts out.
She runs out the door. Which, by the way, why did nobody close the front door?
I'm getting bad vibes there. Like I'm thinking, who like she thinks she's a SEAL. I'm thinking she's about to jump off this damn building. That was my fear for a second.
Yeah, I'm going, how big is this rooftop? Well, I mean, yeah, how big is this rooftop? But so she runs out the door, and they chase after her because they're good people. And Ash has what turns out to be the line of the episode.
Yeah, I said it last week.
Yeah, you said it last week. He goes, "Who would have thought there'd be a freaking park in the
big ass park in the
middle of this area here? How big is this place?" And they're running, and they come out of the trees, and there's this big fucking lake, and lo and behold, they're the 10 kids.
Yes, like the first kid that they come across thinks he's a fucking Bulbasaur. Like,
There's a Bulbasaur, there's a
Magikarp.
Caterpie, there's a Magikarp.
The girl that thinks she's a Magikarp is the funniest out of all of them. I'm sorry, I thought that was just straight funny. She's just in the puddle, just
flopping in a puddle,
flopping, just like Magikarp. I was like, what the fuck? But this is and Ash said it best. This is the biggest park in the entire city. The biggest park. If this is the biggest fucking park in the goddamn city, how the hell has an adult who goes jogging every morning or gone out, how have they not seen these damn kids?
Right. It's not fucking like It, where he was like taking them underground in the sewer. I mean, well, first of all, nobody's taking these kids. They just got fucking hypnotized. And, they just ended up congregating at this lake. Yeah, like you said, like, how has nobody thought about the big ass park? How has nobody thought about the big ass lake? How much were we really looking for these kids?
I don't think anyone was looking for these damn kids. I'm just because it's just too many loopholes.
So Officer Jenny is a very bad police officer here, because she basically goes with the Ash Ketchum method and goes, "Hey kids, wake up, hey, it's time to go home." And she tries to take the little girl out of the puddle, and the little girl's like, "No, I'm a Magikarp."
Basically, you take me out of this puddle, my ass is gonna die.
I'm gonna die. And we completely skipped over it, but there was a Charmander at the Pokemon Center, and they brought up Charmander dying if his tail went out again.
Yes.
They said this Charmander's tail is very low, and it was just played off like another occurrence.
I'm looking at these kids right now on stills, and like the little kid that thinks he's a Caterpie just climbs, just
inching along the tree.
Yeah, just inching the tree. Like this is just hilarious. But my favorite is still the little girl who like takes her arm away from Officer Jenny just to get back in the puddle, just to go magic.
Oh goodness.
Oh my god, like the owner of the Drowsy and Hypno makes an appearance in this park, and basically says that he can bring the Hypno and Drowsy out to unhypnotize these kids to get these kids to go back home.
And Ash is so proud of himself
because he thinks he solved the case of the missing kids.
Which, I mean, didn't he?
Yeah. Actually, yeah.
In a roundabout way, because
Officer Jenny sure didn't find him.
Because if his Pikachu hadn't have fallen asleep to the point where they had to track the sleep waves with Officer Jenny, they wouldn't have been there for Misty to get hypnotized.
And Misty, to run out. I was about to say, they had to follow Misty in order to find out where the kids were.
So he got one.
Yes. So what they do is they bring they they somehow convince Misty, who thinks she's a seal, to come
Still.
back. Yeah, to come back to the mansion on the top of this really tall building. I would have loved to. I want a like unedited version of this to see what that conversation was like. Like, Misty, we got some little treats for you. Just come with us.
I have a bad feeling that some sardines were involved or something because she thought she was a seal.
She could. They could have easily said, "Well, let's get this little girl. She thinks she's a magic carp, and bring her up here. Hey, seal, come chase this magic."
So then, they're sitting there, and Drowsy's working his magic on Misty, and Misty wakes up and goes, "Where am I? How come everybody's looking at me?" And what does she say to Ash? Because she's got the real pissed off.
Let's see.
Hey, where am
Let
I?
me.
Gee, Misty, you're looking kind of beat.
Oh, Ash pulls out one of his jokes and goes, "Gee, Misty, you're looking kind of beat." And she's like, "If I wanted your opinion, I'd ask for it."
Yeah, she really flew up the handle real quick, and then they kind of had to clue her in. And as they're running out the door with Ash having Hypno on its back,
No,
Misty
drowsy.
Drowsy on his back, Misty goes, "Did I really think I was a Pokemon?"
And he's like, "Yeah, you did."
So they're running, and then they see
Team Rocket,
Team Rocket is hang gliding.
which they're some pretty good hang gliders. They should do this in future episodes.
Should do this and not try to fucking rob Pokemon. And they do the gimmick, and we actually get a variation. Because Meow, instead of saying "that's right," says "that's flight," which clever.
Yeah, because he's flying.
Right. So James or Jesse and Meowth land fine, and poor James lands on his ass because James is inept.
And they get the bright idea of getting a mirror and putting it in front of Hypno to make Hypno hypnotize himself.
And, because Meowth kind of pops in with one final dig and goes, "Any hypnotic Pokemon worth his salt would hypnotize anything." And that's kind of, like a shot at Hypno's kind of mentality as a, Pokemon at heart. And James is a real doofus and goes, "Well, don't hypnotize me while you're doing it." And it's starting to work because it would, and Ash goes, "Well, I have to think fast here," and he fucking chucks a pot at this mirror
And breaks the shit out
breaks
of it.
it. So that's 7 years, right? I mean, if you believe in that kind of stuff.
Well, I think he's just adding on to it by this point because bad luck just follows Ash anyway.
So maybe that's why it took him so damn long to finally win the fucking. So and then freaking Jesse pulls out this daggum whip.
And fucking whips Drowsy.
Yeah. And and Hypno.
Yes.
And she's got them both, and Misty throws out
Ash throws out Pidgeotto.
well, yeah, but Misty throws out Staryu first.
Yes.
And cuts the
rope. Or the whip or whatever, and Pidgeotto uses Whirlwind to blow away Team Rocket.
But before that, of course, when they had the Pokemon tied up, we had another fourth wall breaking line of James going, "Why didn't we do this first?"
And Jesse's like, "Well, we got to fill a half hour."
So they know they're a show.
Yes.
So once Team Rocket is dealt with, we cut to Drowsy doing his thing again. Apparently he can just do it on an entire park. Seems like the unevolved form of the Pokemon shouldn't be able to do that, but hey ho, what am I?
He's a strong Drowsy.
Apparently he's really close to evolving. Um, he claps his hands, and the kids wake up,
And
and
all the kids start realizing where they are, and then they run home.
so the kids are smart.
Yes.
They know they're in the park, but they know the way home. So why didn't the mothers know about this park if the kids knew about the?
It's very irritating. But
Oh,
it's at this point we get the lady who thought Ash was Arnold, and this boy,
Tits McGee here.
yeah, Miss Tits McGee. This boy has dark blue hair.
Looks nothing like fucking.
Looks nothing
Not
like
even
Ash.
wearing a hat.
This little boy is shorter than Ash.
Just
This
fucking-
is what pissed me off. I'm like, he looks nothing like him. Like, they couldn't have drawn someone that looks a little similar to Ash to kind of make this make a little bit more sense.
So then thankfully we don't forget about the poor Pokemon at the center, and Drowsy does his thing,
And Magikarp is all lively again, and all the rest of the Pokemon Cubone's alive and oddish.
T-Bone's looking cute and oddish, and Charmander's fine. Tailflame is strong.
And then at this point, Ash goes, he goes, this is just one more case solved by good old Ash Ketchum. And Brock and Misty have to kind of like bust his balls and like, did you really?
He did though.
He did.
I will. Where's the form? I will sign it. He did. So everybody's happy, and then we cut to a shot of Nurse Joy kind of looking concerned.
At Psyduck, because Psyduck's still holding his head.
Which we're about to get to the big payoff. And, Brock's kind of like, what's the matter? And, like you said, she kind of goes into it, and she goes, well, Psyduck is still over there holding his head, and I just don't understand it. And then we cut to the trio walking down another path. Well, first we cut to just Psyduck has gotten out, apparently.
Yeah, he's just following the trio with Pikachu, and Ash takes out his Pokedex and gets the rest of the summary on Psyduck. And supposedly, Psyduck just suffers from chronic migraines, which never goes away.
Which I would, I shouldn't, because I'm spoiling like something from like 30 episodes from now. But I mean, it ties into the whole presentation of psychic powers and stuff. But Misty freaks out and goes, "This thing has a constant headache," and she trips over the smallest fucking pebble in the fucking world, and a loose Pokeball just comes tumbling out, and Psyduck says, "Ooh, food," and
pecks it.
Kind of pecks at it, and it activates. Well, he pecks at it to get it to expand, and then he hits it again, because why wouldn't you hit it twice? And he just goes into it. We made fun of Ash the way he caught Squirtle and Bulbasaur and Charmander. But this is ludicrous.
Misty literally caught a Psyduck, and we're gonna. I know I'm spoiling something for future episodes, but because it becomes a running gag, but Psyduck can, I guess since Misty didn't fully like catch him, I guess he can bust himself out of a Pokeball at any given time that he wants to come out of a Pokeball.
Right.
This is going to become like the funniest Pokemon and most aggravating Pokemon that Misty has, because she does not like this Psyduck at all.
On the wiki for this episode, it notes about the flashback. First of all, it said originally the flashback was from an episode from the first Pokemon I Choose You, but then they changed it to the Beauty at the Beach episode once the Beauty and the Beach was dubbed in English, which is goofy because anyway. But then under that it says events. Misty effortlessly catches a Psyduck.
Yeah, it took no effort at all. And Misty the Psyduck gets into the Pokeball and she just seems so defeated.
She goes, "You got to be kidding me."
She's like, I don't want this Psyduck, but I have it now. So what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, if she really didn't want this Psyduck, couldn't she have sent it off back home?
No, because then she would be no worse than that fella with the Charmander, Damien.
True.
And she read him the Riot Act.
Yeah, she did.
She'd be a hypocrite. And I mean, she is, but she'd be worse.
Oh, jeez. So
by virtue of her own thought process, she was stuck.
So, yeah, that's the end of the episode. And we get a glimpse of the inside of a Pokeball. And Psyduck is inside and barely has any space. But, yeah, he's in there.
He's in there.
So, that's it.
He's in there.
That's the end of our two-parter. Well, our double whammy, Doug.
Yeah, like, you know, and like we said last week, good episode and a strong episode to end it.
Yes.
We didn't get any indication of what's to come because we ended on old Psyduck. But yeah, an eventful episode. A very, very one-track mind, which was good. Because sometimes it feels like these episodes get bogged down in like B and C stories, and stuff doesn't get a chance to breathe. But this one was like, no, we're focusing on the kids, which apparently nobody else was focusing on because they were right down the road in a park.
Yes. So, I do have to ask you, because I haven't asked you this in the past couple of weeks. Where does this episode land within episodes that you like and don't like?
Oh, it's probably somewhere in the middle, maybe high middle.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't turn it off if it came up randomly, but I'm not gonna, put everything I'm doing down.
Okay, so this one's kind of a background filler with a couple little gags that you can kind of be like, what the hell? This doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So, okay. So what about last week's episode?
Last week. I mean, I'm kind of in a weird spot with last week because I didn't really care for it, just on the face of it. Because, oh, look, Ash is in a dress. Isn't that funny? But on the other end, it is a gym battle episode. And, Ash does kind of come around in his original way of thinking. He goes into hero mode, John McClane running into the burning building and shit.
True. Well, you're going to have a ball with next week's episode.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
Do you remember it?
Very vaguely. I mean, I'm sure.
It's the fashion show where they dress up the Pokemon, and this is the episode that Brock gets Vulpix.
This isn't the Vulpix focused episode where we learn about all the different evolution. No, that's Eevee. Never mind. No, Vulpix. No, Vulpix has 9 tails. That's right. No, yes. I'm thinking of Eevee.
So yeah, next week is Vulpix, like central. Like the whole episode kind of revolves around it. Misty wants to get into the fashion show.
That's next week. No,
I know.
Be cheating people.
I'm not. I'm just no. Trust me. I'm gonna have to rewatch it again to get all my points and get everything down. But next week's gonna be an odd episode.
Well, yeah, but it's about damn time Brock caught a Pokemon, for goodness sakes. The last thing we know he caught was a Zubat randomly off screen.
Well, does he really catch this Pokemon? We'll find out.
Well, I mean, look, the bar right now is very low. Misty literally stumbled into a Pokemon.
Yes, she did. She fell over a pebble.
And that's just the thing, right? She gave Ash so much shit after Squirtle because he said, "Looks like I caught another Pokemon." And she was so into. She said, "Caught that," And where was he? He didn't dunk on her basically because the episode was over, but he didn't dunk on her.
No, because
Hypocrite.
yes.
Hypocrite.
Oh, so all right. So, are you good?
No, I gotta get out of here. This episode's making me angry for no reason.
So, all right. So, it's at this point, everybody. It's time to say goodbye for the night. So, say goodbye, Doug.
Bye, Doug.
And this is Wrestling Chris G telling all of you, don't miss the fashion episode next week titled Pokemon Fashion Flash. Or, translated from Japanese, Rokon Breeder Showdown. Have a good night.